How's it going, everybody? Making my video for UFC 137 coming up here on Saturday. Today is Thursday, so I'm doing it on time for once. I usually post my videos after the fights. I don't know what the deal with that is, but I do. UFC 137 is BJ Penn, Nick Diaz. You got Matt Mitrione versus Cheick Kongo. You got Cro Cop, Roy Nelson, Dennis Siver, Donald Cerrone, Tyson Griffin, Bart Palashevsky. There's other fights rather than that, but I'll cover those since those are the fighters I know the best and I know, the most about. I don't want to say anything about Brendan Vera because I don't watch that dude's fights. There's that. Anyways, UFC 137 was a card I think everyone's been really excited about. I know I had the little girl jitters about it like 2 months ago when I found out. You had GSP, Nick Diaz, BJ Penn, Carlos Condit. It got switched because of Nick Diaz's pot addiction keeping him from showing up to press conferences. And I really like those fights when they were switched. BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz is a much better matchup for both of those guys. And Carlos Condit was going to bring it to GSP, and still is. Just, at a later date, yet to be announced. But, yeah, it just seems a little suspicious that they would pull the GSP card off the fact that he has kind of a strained hamstring, whatever the words that he used were. And, I feel like this guy has got to do something with Anderson Silva not taking the Super Bowl day fight, or day before fight, with Chael Sonnen. He says he wants to wait for the Mayhem Bisping fight before he decides who he's fighting. But, I think he's kind of ducking Chael Sonnen. And I hate to say it because he's the best fighter on the planet. I don't think he should be ducking Chael Sonnen, but he still is. But anyways, I think the GSP Carlos Condit fight is going to be a good Super Bowl fight. That could carry the worst card. You could put all the shittiest fighters on the planet on that card, including my little brother. And that card would still be great because that's a fight. GSP is really going to have to show all of his skills against a guy like Carlos Condit, who can mirror him in all the technical ways, not the strength, size, and speed and cardio, but all the technique things. I think Carlos Condit could match him in. But anyways, on to the fights that are happening. BJ Penn, Nick Diaz. Gotta give this fight to BJ Penn. Couple reasons why. First, I know a lot of people are saying Nick Diaz's boxing skills are going to surpass BJ's. But guess what? Not a boxing match. I don't know if you guys didn't know this, but they're not wearing 16-ounce gloves. This is not inside of a ring. It's not a boxing match. BJ Penn is much more comfortable throwing kicks and knees than Nick Diaz will ever be. And that's because he doesn't sit around and just box. Cardio-wise, Nick Diaz is 100% of the way. He runs the triathlons all the time. He's got very good cardio, even though he smokes a lot of weed. So, there's that. Wrestling. Nick Diaz's wrestling is pretty bad. He got taken down by Paul Daly, if I remember correctly, who's, British. He can't wrestle. And then BJ Penn, natural ability to learn things in the sport. So you have the fact that he's been working with Matt Hughes lately, great wrestler. He's getting his workouts, he's getting his training camps back in the way they should be when he was at AKA. Training hard, not doing anything else. He went out to California for 4 weeks. He went back to Hawaii for 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and then he's going back to California for the last 3 weeks of his training. You can watch the videos online called Road to UFC 137, BJ Penn. Great videos. Actually, pretty good directing, too. I was wondering who was making those videos because they're pretty fucking awesome. But, yeah, I just think that as far as all-around skills, Nick Diaz, isn't all there. He's got great boxing and great jiu-jitsu, but I think BJ Penn's going to be too much for him. And the quality of the opponents that BJ has fought is ridiculous. He's kind of like a Forrest Griffin. He had a lot of losses, but it's only because he fights so many good fighters. You know what I mean? Like, look at his record right now. It's crazy. He just fights champ after champ after champ, or #1 contenders in serious divisions. And, I don't think that Nick Diaz has really done that. His last fight against Paul Daly, for a belt, like Paul Daly, I'm sorry, but, he couldn't cut it in the UFC. And I don't think of him as a top-ranked welterweight in any way, shape, or form. So I got to give that fight to BJ Penn, and I think this is going to fuck up Nick Diaz's career. He's supposed to be the guy to beat GSP, and I don't think he can beat BJ Penn. And BJ Penn certainly can't beat GSP, and we all saw that twice. So on to the next fight, short and sweet. Here we go. Matt Mitrione, Cheick Kongo. I love this fight. Matt Mitrione, the meathead, you remember him from Ultimate Fighter Season 11. Kind of a weirdo on the show, actually, if you remember correctly. And I don't even know if it was Season 11, but either way, he was kind of a fucking weirdo on the show. But he's really great now, you know what I mean? Like, he had a pretty lengthy football career. A lot of guys act like he's a Brennan Schaub type, where he was on the training squad. But, you know, Matt Mitrione was a legitimate NFL player for a while. He's got a lot of athletic skills that UFC heavyweights don't. Only guys like Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, Junior Santos, only those guys can really mimic how athletic he really is. And Kongo might be super cut. He might have, you know, pecs out to past his chin and all that good stuff. But he hits really hard in the nuts. But Cheick Kongo is not going to be Matt Mitrione. You know, it's going to be a lot like the Pat Barry fight, but he knows how to pace himself. If you watch in the last fight he had with Christian Morecraft, paced himself extremely well. Would hurt him and would take a step back. Because he knew that if he just jumped all over this guy, he could end up in a bad position. And he's just, you know, he's relaxed that way inside the cage. He keeps his muscles relaxed when he's fighting. He doesn't tense up. He doesn't throw from his shoulders. He throws from his arms. I mean, you know, he uses his entire body, but he throws straight. He doesn't wing punches from his shoulders like Cheick can do. And, you know, what takes less time? A wing punch or a straight punch? So we all know how this one's going to go. Really think about it for a while. Wrestling, though, Matt Mitrione has been kind of depressing on his wrestling. Morecraft took him down twice. One time, he dropped Morecraft, landed on top, and then somehow ended up on bottom while Morecraft was half awake. So there's definitely a lot of issues there. I don't know what's going on. He's training Extreme Couture. All those great wrestlers, he can't learn how to wrestle. I don't know what the deal is there. No gist game for either of these guys. But I got to give it to Matt Mitrione because it's going to be a stand-up fight, and I've been more impressed with him than Cheick Kongo. Cheick Kongo seems to be the same guy every single time, and he just gets fights that he can win based on style. But I don't think this is one he's going to be able to win on style. Cro Cop, Roy Nelson. God, I wish for. Well, someone at the UFC hates Cro Cop. They keep putting him against guys I don't think he can beat, and that kind of sucks because Cro Cop's. He's developed into kind of like a Matt Hughes, like, was always kind of a dick to people, but he's really developed with age into this like really cool veteran who just wants to fight. You know, he doesn't care about belts. He just wants to fight. And, you know, they keep putting him against guys I don't think he can beat. And Roy Nelson's got to be one of those guys. He's got a lot of power in his hand. And Mirko's got kind of a shady chin these days. You know, like Chuck, Vanderlei, Randy. All those guys on their way out, you know, pretty terrible chins. You don't want to go in there against a guy like Roy Nelson when you can't take a punch because he hits hard. Jiu-Jitsu game. Funny fact, Cro Cop's actually probably been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu longer than Roy Nelson, but Roy Nelson's the black belt. He's very good at what he does. If he didn't have the stomach, he'd be so much better, especially in the aspect of Jiu-Jitsu because, you know, it's hard to take someone's back, you know, when you can't fit your stomach around that area. But, yeah. It's hard to pull guard when your stomach is like half of your guard. So, how would I call this fight? I'd probably call this fight Roy Nelson by early first round KO. I think if Cro Cop comes out trying to prove a point, he's going to get clipped, and that's it. Because Roy Nelson's got a great chin, and Cro Cop doesn't. That's that. Dennis Siver, Donald Cerrone on the prelim card on Spike. Holy shit, this fight should have been up there before the Matt Mitrione Kongo fight. Dennis Siver, I think, is on a 6-1 streak, if maybe 5. Don't quote me on that. Donald Cerrone coming up from the WEC. I forgot who he just fought too. I'm going blank right now. But yeah, both those guys, great kickboxers. Donald Cerrone is a traditional Muay Thai kickboxer. Dennis Siver is kind of like more of the European kickboxing, kind of Dutchy. But he's actually a German-born Russian or a Russian-born German. I don't think there's much of a difference. Probably hates a lot of people. But I expect a pretty good fight. As far as grappling goes, I don't expect to see a lot. But if there is, if wherever it goes, I expect Donald Cerrone to be the better fighter. If it ends up on him on his back, I expect him to catch a triangle pretty easily or an armbar. If he's on top, he's definitely going to catch him in a Kimura. He's got such long limbs. He's very much like a John Jones on the ground. You know, he can slip his arms and legs around yours so easily because they're so long and flexible. And sounded kind of gay. Donald Cerrone's got that fight, in my opinion. Tyson Griffin, Bart Palashevsky. Bart, I'm not going to say his last name anymore. I'm just going to call him Bart. Bart actually used to be a fighter way back in the IFL when I was like 12. Nah, I was older than that. I must have been like 16. But it felt like when I was 12. But he was one of the IFL guys. I really liked the IFL. The whole team thing, it didn't make any sense, but it was fun to watch. And he was one of those guys, a veteran who's been going at it for a while, finally in the UFC, and he gets Tyson Griffin. You know what I mean? Like, gets a really strong wrestler in the lightweight division. That's fucked up because he's just going to get out-wrestled, I'm sure. And he might get cut. You know, that would suck ass to get your first fight in the UFC, get out-wrestled for 15 minutes, and then get cut. But he doesn't have the submission game that he needs, I think, to keep Tyson Griffin from taking him down. And stand-up-wise, I don't think he's explosive enough to catch him in between takedowns. So, gotta give that fight to Tyson Griffin by decision. So to recap, BJ Penn, Matt Mitrione, Roy Nelson, Donald Cerrone, Tyson Griffin. Those are my picks. It's 5 fights. I'm gonna get 4 of them right. I swear to God. If I'm gonna get one wrong, it's gonna be the Cro Cop fight because I want Cro Cop to win. I really do. He's got the skill to win, but I don't know if he has the mental determination or the chin to win. And that's just that. What else can we talk about? We got Dan Henderson, Shogun in Japan, Rampage Force in Japan, maybe. That one hasn't been announced yet. You got Brock Lesnar, Alistair Overeem. You got John Jones, Lyoto Machida. You got, God, there's a lot of good fights coming up, and they're just cranking these things out. I know a lot of people are saying that they're cranking them out too fast, too many UFCs, but to me that's not an issue. Maybe Dana White needs another one version of him. Maybe we can clone Dana White, but there's no such thing as too many fights. I mean, I know I'm going broke, but there's no such thing as too many fights. We need to get this out there as much as possible. Because you got a lot of people who don't know about the UFC, and it's crazy to think we're going to be on Fox in November, and there's going to be fucking billions of people walking around. Literally, like, most of the planet has never heard of mixed martial arts. And that's fucking crazy to think that we've come this far, and we still have that many people oblivious to our favorite sport. So, too many cards, not existed. Too many big fights, maybe. Too many UFC fighters, maybe. But there's got this Strikeforce, Bellator, is it Wham or Bama? I don't know that British promotion. But, you know, there's no such thing as too many fights. Let's keep it going. I'm really excited for things. I got 2 minutes left. Alright, everybody. Those are my picks, man. They're going to be right, so bet money on them. That's illegal. Don't bet money on them. Bet money on them. But anyways, let's end this on a sentence. Holy shit, did you